What's the use of putting your money into a savings account if it's going to end up being a losing investment? The European Central Bank has been trying to battle its way through the bloc's sovereign debt crisis over the past few years with cheaper money, but at the expense of ordinary depositors. I'm Ben Fazulin. This is Made in Germany, and here are some of the topics we'll be looking at today. Hard-won savings eaten away by inflation. What's happening to your bank account? Bigger Liebherr, a global machinery giant shoveling billions of euros in annual sales. And borrowing or sharing instead of buying, a new internet platform called Why Own It. We start the show off with a man who made his fortune before hitting 40. But more amazing is what he's doing with the money. No, there are no racing cars involved or yachts or private jets. This German multimillionaire, Jan-Henrik Büttner, has bought an entire village on the Baltic Sea. And he's turning it into a playground for the rich and famous. The rundown village of Weißenhaus is undergoing a transformation with big plans for the future. Here's the man and a little look into his childhood.
This is the place. Back then there was no boardwalk. I built it. But a beach doesn't change that much in the course of one's life. Watch that step there. As a child, I was once playing in the dunes and stepped on a nasty piece of broken glass. I spent about a week in the hospital because of that beer bottle shard. But otherwise, all my memories of this beach are positive.
And now, Jan-Henrik Büttner has returned to Schleswig-Holstein, straight from California. He wants to turn the beach and the nearby abandoned village into a luxury hotel complex called Palace Estate Weißenhaus.
These three buildings, we can only see two of them, make up the spa, the Forest Thermal Springs. This is the historic coach house. And that's the new building. And with this tunnel, we've connected the entire new building complex to the manor, as you can see. It's not an easy task. The buildings had to be supported from below, so that when the tunnel was dug, the buildings wouldn't tilt.
Büttner has been a builder for 8 years now. He used to be an internet entrepreneur. Now he commutes between Hamburg and the United States. He and his architect visit the construction site once a week. Büttner jetted around the world for years. Now he wants to bring all his impressions and experience back home. He's already invested 50 million euros in this old estate. Büttner was a manager with the Bertelsmann publishing company and made a fortune when it sold off AOL Europe almost 10 years ago.
If you've earned a little fortune, it doesn't mean you can just retire at 40 and say, now I'm just going to sit by my pool and drink champagne. That doesn't make sense. You've got to do something. And then came the big surprise, the opportunity to buy an historic village in a highly industrialized country, directly on the Baltic Sea. And here I can shape and plan everything just the way I like it. And there's nothing around it to disturb me.
The project is expected to cost almost 70 million euros. At some point, the investment has to pay for itself.
It'll take 10 to 14 years, that's my estimate. The good thing is that it's all invested in a way that it doesn't have to recoup the money immediately. There are loans to be paid off as well as interest. A lot of the money is my own, and some comes from other investors. But they don't expect the money to be paid back right away.
Büttner is gradually revamping the old village. It has a total of 40 houses, many of which will be turned into vacation apartments. His hotel director shows us the model suite.
The card reader is here to the left under the lamp. It's contact-free. You just have to hold the card within 2 centimeters of it and it unlocks the door. It opens at a touch.
Okay, perfect.
A suite with 4 rooms, including a kitchen and a children's room, costs €600 a night. Seven restaurants are planned, and one is already open. The Boathouse restaurant is right down on the beach where Büttner played as a child.
Klein Jan hat also hier Quallen und Muscheln.
When I was a child, I collected jellyfish and shells right there. My parents used to drive in and park over there. Back then, it wasn't a car-free nature preserve. You could drive in and park under trees and walk to the beach. There was a snack bar with French fries and hot dogs. This is where I played as a child. And when my kids were small, they did the same.
Jan-Henrich Büttner envisions hotel guests already strolling on the beach this year, while he will continue to commute between the Baltic and the Pacific.
And we'll just have to wait to see if that huge investment does pay off one day. The more money you have, the more problems. It must be hard to sleep at night not knowing what to do with it all. But for those who haven't struck it rich, what's the best thing to do with whatever's left over from the money you're making right now? Because with historically low interest rates in some parts of the world and high inflation, what's the use of putting that cash into a savings account that's just going to erode away?
What is a bank? Asks the primary school teacher.
You can put €50 into it every month. And then they add something to it.
That's called interest. You get interest.
Interest for those who save their money. In Germany, even children know that. And to support that cause, the project School Piggy Bank was launched to teach primary school pupils that saved money increases.
I'm saving my money, and when I'm about 18, I can buy a house and a car, and if there's something left over, I can put it into my account.
But what if people's savings are no longer secure? Banks are currently paying very low interest. It's frustrating for savers because things have turned upside down for savings accounts. Accounts aren't growing, but shrinking, day by day. A creeping expropriation. The reason is that since 2010, the inflation rate is higher than the interest on a fixed deposit account. At the moment, savers receive only 0.9% interest, while prices are rising at about 1.5%.
Can you imagine that? The money is melting away.
That would make me angry.
But bank customers aren't getting angry yet. Behavioral economist Martin Koscher says that's because of the inertia of the mass. Germans, traditionally big savers, are especially affected.
A major fraction of government spending goes to interest payments. Low interest rates make serving debt cheaper, so the state can spend on other things. Savers benefit from some of those things. But it's clear, low interest rates are always bad for people who have substantial savings and good for states that are in debt.
Politicians are trying to control the crisis at the expense of savers. But Mario Draghi and the European Central Bank plan to maintain the course of low prime interest rates. That means the financial industry has access to the cheapest money in history. The European Central Bank wants to stimulate the economy by increasing the bank's liquid assets. But where does the money go? What do the banks say?
Where does the money go? Well, in part, the banks don't need the money from the European Central Bank. They can refinance themselves with their deposits. So you can believe me, the banks aren't happy at all about this cheap money, and especially not about the great volume of money that is currently circulating.
Who's really upset are the people with bank accounts on Cyprus. Their accounts are being used to rescue decrepit banks and the euro. Savers all over Europe are getting nervous.
It's difficult for me to advise the children to save a lot of money if it means later at 18 they'll have less than they actually saved. It's a problem for me.
So should the children save or spend all their money? A difficult question. Maybe the children should wait to save until the turbulence of the euro subsides.
Joining us now is the director of the Hamburg Institute of International Economics, Thomas Straubhaar. What's your advice to kids? Put the money in the piggy bank or spend it on toys?
Indeed, this is a very difficult question because we cannot learn from the past. It is not a good advice to look what we have done when we were young, to learn what they now should do. Definitely they have probably to save even more than we had because they do not count on the interest rate, so they have to really do it on their own for all their purposes, wishes, needs for the future. And so I think this is a very tough situation, and yet they have probably to search for alternatives to the saving accounts.
One alternative, for adults at least, is insurance policies. They usually pay, what, 2.5%? But how long can the insurers keep that up?
That's a very good question, because in a period of so low interest rates, that's a very demanding promise they did to really say that we get all this expected returns. So they have also to search for other alternatives, and probably they have to take more risks by investing this money for a longer period.
Briefly, what are some of the alternatives?
Probably infrastructure, what is quite a new phenomena for long-term investments, but also raw materials and also, of course, shares, because they may probably give you the best expectations for the future.
Back to the topic of easy money, banks having it easy with the central bank, with the European Central Bank. Customers haven't had it easy, though. When they go into minus with their bank accounts, that means, what, 11% that they have to pay? Isn't that an obscene difference?
In a way, yes, but on the other hand, the banks, they have to search for liquidity, and everybody also is keeping the liquidity because they do not trust each other. So somehow the transmission channels are damaged, and so I think it is not fair just to blame the banks. Of course, also the states, they profit because the debt burden for the public coffers is quite lowering.
Mr. Straubhaar, we'll return to you in a moment. First of all, the story we flagged earlier about borrowing or sharing as opposed to buying. Share economy was the big topic at this year's CeBIT trade fair, the world's most important event for the digital economy. The term describes a trend in society from owning to sharing, anything from knowledge, resources, experience, to everyday items like cars and clothing. It's the internet that makes it all so easy. But no matter how good the swap, the question still remains, do I look fat in this?
This doesn't look too posh, does it? Does it make me look fat? What? It makes me look fat? Okay.
Clothing swap parties like this one in Erfurt are all the rage. You clean out your closet and bring along whatever no longer suits you, and swap it. It's a great way to spruce up a wardrobe, and it's free. Annette Seibt is an actress. She's here to swap and brought her daughters along.
I try to bring a lot and take a little, and in doing so, empty out my closet.
Her daughter Clara is busy trying on clothes. And has she found anything she likes?
Yes, a lot of things. Like this jacket, the scarf, another jacket, and a sweater.
Evelyn Bierbach holds the swap parties in her yoga studio. She sees it as a good way to reduce consumption and waste.
It's nice because it's also an event. People chat while they swap and it's fun. It's like shopping without spending money.
Swapping and sharing instead of shopping. It's an idea that's taking off. Nearly a quarter of all Germans take advantage of services like car sharing or online swapping platforms. These computer programmers in Hamburg are hoping to cash in on the trend. Philipp Glöckler founded the company Why Own It? Members use his app or homepage to borrow whatever they need. Everything from a drill to a DVD. And it's free.
I got the idea about a year ago. I thought it'd be cool to see what my friends own, what they like and need. It's a way to buy less and see my friends more often. The products are usually just an excuse to get in touch with people again. But I haven't bought anything but food this year.
So far, the company hasn't earned any money yet. Glöckler has financed his startup company with help from 6 private investors. He sees it as a way to change consumption habits and promote sustainability.
We don't need to buy everything we see in advertisements. For example, when a media company says we need to buy their DVDs. But all we really want to do is watch it once and have that experience.
He already has 10,000 registered members. His dream is to achieve a critical mass so that no one has to buy anything they don't need. To earn money, he includes advertising on his site. Back in Erfurt, spirits are high. The bargain hunters are happy, and they've had a great afternoon getting together with friends. But will it really cut down on the amount of shopping they do?
I will continue to buy things, but it's a good mix. When I go shopping, I buy exactly what I need. But here, there are great finds, things that I can combine and be really creative.
One person's trash is another person's treasure. Swapping instead of buying, it's an idea that's taken off.
So borrowing instead of buying, what do you think of this model?
I think this is a perfect fit for demand and supply somehow, and it is nothing new, by the way. We always had second-hand shops to somehow do barter exchange. So firstly, it helps to bring together the wishes from both sides of the market. So I think this is a perfect fit, and it actually does not harm the consumer industry, because the money you are going to save, you will just give out for other things.
But is this still is it a niche market, or is it something that's really catching on?
Yeah, it's still a niche market. For the quantities and the volumes, they are still small, even if they grow fast in the last couple of years. But still, compared to the total sales, they are just a minor, tiny fraction.
What about the losses, though, for specific companies like car makers, say?
I wouldn't say that they really are going to lose. They will probably, from sector to sector or from car type to another car type, they will have changes in the demand. But as I've said before, the money they are going to save, they will probably spend to buy more expensive cars later on. So I think overall, this is also beneficial to the car industry, because it helps to bring together supply and demand.
And is it a trend elsewhere?
Yes, of course. We know it from all the markets, and especially from the markets for software and hardware in the computer sector, that you are going to share these facilities. And I also think there it is a kind of a reaction to the technology, and it is a kind of a global market that will arise.
And a trend not just here in Germany?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Straubhaar, for your analysis. Well, I did my fair share of sharing as a kid. I was second in line. That meant a whole lot of hand-me-downs. But if the shoe fits, why not? Our question of the week. Would you consider bartering instead of buying? Let us know by visiting our website, dw.de/English/Made in Germany. Now, last week, we wanted to know if you've already put your money somewhere safe. Christina Bockmuhl wrote in from the Philippines to say she's never been in a position to have to worry about where to put large lump sums of money or whether to invest it in obscure island safe havens. But even if she could afford such a hobby, she wouldn't be interested. Christina says honesty is always the best policy. Now, 500,000 visitors are currently descending on Munich for the world's largest trade fair for construction machinery, Bauma. If you're into autopilot field rovers, walking mobile excavators or hybrid energy wind towers constructed with revolving tower cranes, then this is for you. The biggest exhibitor at the show is the German firm Liebherr, which also boasts some of the biggest equipment on offer.
Centimeter for centimeter, the multi-ton backhoe is moved into position. But good isn't good enough on the fairgrounds for site manager Thomas Schäfer. He is on hand to make sure everything is on the up and up.
We have to work link for link. There's a track on the left and right, and each of them has a logo. We have to make sure they're upright and level.
Liebherr doesn't leave anything to chance. They've been working for years on their presentation at the Bauma, the world's largest fair for construction machinery in Munich.
This one's designed for mining. It weighs 400 tons and can assume different roles in the quarry or be used in different types of mines. Gold mines, diamond mines, and copper mines, for example.
Liebherr has rolled out 67 of their construction vehicles, including the largest, highest payload capacity haul truck in the world, the T282. Its wheels alone are 4 meters in diameter. With machines this big, even full-grown men let out their inner child. Nick Palermi has 35 specialized driver's licenses for construction vehicles. He will demonstrate the T282's tipping function.
It takes around 12 seconds for the bed to raise into position when it's under a full load, and then about 8 seconds to lower it.
Up you go. You can buy this one starting at $1 million. It has over 2,800 horsepower and can transport 200 tons. We make a smaller version in Kirchdorf.
Liebherr's Kirchdorf factory, 100 kilometers west of Munich. Liebherr's smaller construction vehicles are being put through their paces. The smaller version of the T282 features a special joint between the driver's compartment and the truck bed. Matthias Herzog is an engineer and production leader in Kirchdorf. Sometimes he likes to take Liebherr's vehicles for a test drive.
It drives a bit differently because of the joint. It's not like a normal vehicle. You have to get used to it, and of course the 370 horsepower.
Each construction vehicle also needs a hydraulic system. Hydraulic bar arms provide the power for gripper arms and truck beds. In Kirchdorf, they need around 40,000 per year.
Of course, this is a dream job for many men. Construction vehicles fascinate lots of boys from an early age. It's fascinating to see how you can move tons of material as if they were light as a feather.
The gripper arm was custom-made. Most of Liebherr's vehicles are tailored to meet each customer's demands, and that requires teamwork.
We have to double-check that it was properly mounted and that the hoses are right. Those are some of the practical problems our workers deal with daily. We're not a typical assembly line backhoe manufacturer. We make each piece individually, and that's our strength.
We're sending 4 of these to the Bauma.
This backhoe will also be making an appearance at the Bauma Trade Fair. The Liebherr 918, with a price tag of 200,000 euros, it's a big seller in Europe. But Liebherr has its sights set on new markets for its vehicles. It's hoping the Bauma will open the door to new customers in the developing world.
And while the world keeps developing and Liebherr keeps doing its digging, I'm going to leave you to keep doing whatever you do. I'll be back soon, though, with another edition of Made in Germany. See you then.